Hi guys, in this video we're going to talk about clientless RDP and SSH access, securing remote admins to servers directly from the browser. This is a really good use case. It's one of my favorite use cases because I do a lot of RDP and SSH. So having this set up via the browser makes it so much easier, and to do it securely and to be able to offer that to administrators on the go, or if they change from a laptop to a desktop, is very powerful. So let's get into it, show you what that looks like. So the first thing you're going to do is go to Access, Browser Access Control, and you're going to go to Applications. When you select New Applications, you're going to go to Connection Parameters, and you're going to RDP or SSH. Let's look at RDP first, and look at the different parameters. We got the host address, how you're going to access it via RDP, what that session timeout is. So if haven't used it in a certain amount of minutes or hours, you can set that up. Security type. Most RDP for Windows is NLA. I've seen some Linux ones be TLS, so check that before you have it set up. Do some Googling to understand what is the security type do you want to set up. If it doesn't work, sometimes you can roll from NLA to any, depending on how the RDP is negotiating. For most Windows, I've seen NLA be the best one to use. Again, do you want to use a source net IP range? And then authentication type, or authentication. You can put in your username and password here in the domain if you want to be able to use a trusted domain, so only from this domain. If you don't do this, guys, it's just going to prompt you for that after you click that in the application portal. So it's really up to you, depending on the type of access you want to do. Do you want to be able to do once you authenticate, you just click and go, or do you want to click it and then after a username and password to be able to access it? Depending on your policy, you can set it up either way. And then you can go and you can set up file transfer. And then do you want to be able to copy from your host? Do you want to be able to paste? You can change these individual settings for how you want to be able to access that remote desktop. And then the application display settings, the display name, URL prefix, and the actual application thumbnail. Let's look at one I already have set up here. So I have my domain controller on this. I have the connection parameters here. I have it under RDP. Here's the host address, 3389, session timeout 30 minutes, NLA. And then authentication, I have my username and password. I'm coming from Snow Lab. And then under application, I actually set up the application thumbnail here. I made one, so you don't have to do that. Okay, once that happens and you save that, then you're going to go to access policy and you're going to add that application to the zero trust access group you want. So in this case, I have contractor access. If you had like an RDP servers group, you could do that as well. So you can set up different groups for zero trust principles. This group has access to finance. Josh and the admins have access to RDP servers or a jump box. You can set this up as granular as you want to really apply those zero trust principles. Let me open this up to show you what it looks like. So here's the name of it, the users and groups. Here's the lab admin. I have the actual DCL1s available. I could take this out if I wanted to say, hey, Josh no longer has access to that. I'm going to be able to kick him out of that group or kick him out of access to that particular application if I wanted to. You hit save on that and apply. And then we're going to go actually out to the applications portal. So now when I go out to the applications portal, I authenticate. It's like I showed you in the first video, really easy to do. It's the same authentication as if you were using the Cato client. When you're on here, guys, as a reminder I give in every video, make sure you're not on the Cato client. This will not work if you have the Cato remote client on. So make sure that's off. So now I'm going to click that. It's going to create the tunnel directly from the browser here. And it's going to be able to allow me to connect directly into my domain controller. So this is all done in the browser. So now I'm access this via the browser here. So I can go here and just show you. This is directly in the browser. Super cool. So now I can go in here. I'm in RDP and I can access everything here. Really powerful stuff. Now I can be able to manage this via the browser, clientless, secure, two-factor authentication the same way you would use your Cato client. The same thing can be true for Kali or Linux boxes. In this case, I have a Kali box. I go in here. I happen to be using a jump server to get there in this case because of the Linux application. But you can absolutely set this up for different Linux to be able to access Linux boxes that have a UI. You can also do the same thing for SSH. So here's my Linux box. I can go to Applications Portal. I have an SSH box. Let me click on it here. This just gives me the CLI directly. So now I can start working via SSH. I didn't have to do any commands. I didn't have to bring up PowerShell or Bash, and I'm directly in there. It's auditable, which I'm going to show you in a different video, and you can see who's interacting with the access to these resources. Very secure way. All right, so now let's go back in to show you SSH because I did not show that to you before. So I'm going to go back out to Application. You can see my SSH test here. My connection parameter is SSH. That's just an IP, 22, really easy. And then the application, what's the actual user? And then if you had a private key, you could upload that here as well. And then the same thing, file transfers. Can you be able to paste or pass anything to the private host? and then the actual logo. And then I apply that same access policy, the zero trust access policy here for whatever group I want to have access to that. And then once I hit save, a few minutes later, it's going to be available via the applications portal when you log in. All right. So in summary, we talked about RDP and SSH access via the browser access control portal, the applications portal. So now you have clientless access to RDP and SSH. Isn't that really cool? So now you can be able to set up RDP SSH access for your admins, for you, for when you're on the road, when you're on a laptop, to have highly secure two-factor authentication that now you can log into those individual boxes, regardless of whether AWS or Azure or anywhere, directly from the secure browser access control applications portal. All right, guys, thanks so much. I hope this is helpful.